Hello, time for another bit of a catch up of what's been going on. So it's time to change the Tupp's crayons today. So on average we change the crayons every 17 days. We're a bit late doing it this time, so it's actually been 20, but I made a note of the couple that have been marked and they haven't been remarked since with the yellow crayon, so that's really good news. So in a minute we're going to bob in and take the yellow crayon off the oldest Tupp, Val, and put this orange one on so that we can see if he's remarked any of the girls or marked any new ones in a couple of days' time. It's the yellow crayon removed and this is the orange crayon going in. Just a little clip, but it does usually go in without any pliers or anything. Good boy, Val. There you go. Back to your jobs. Of the guys in here, there are 4 that have got yellow marks on their behinds. This is one of them. This is Yogi, and I mark down in my diary the days when they get marked so that it allows me to work out an approximate due date for them. So when it comes to all things sheep, we tend to come to do one job and another one raises its potentially ugly head. So we've just changed the crayon on the shearling Tupp, Balmoral, so he's now got, I think it's red, orange, very similar colour to the other one anyway. But we've got one ewe that's not eating and another that's flapping his tail about quite a lot, so just a bit worried that they might have been struck, which means potentially they might have maggots on them, so I'm just going to have a look at that now. So there was one that had a few little maggots on her. I've given her a bit of a haircut round her back end and sprayed some chemical on her. She'll be absolutely fine. So now we're into the next batch. So this is the middle Tupp, Zeb, who doesn't really love Joe very much and likes to give him the run around. If he runs off with him now attached, it won't be the first time he's had that experience with this Tupp. It's kind of like a love-hate relationship that they have. Just going to see if I can try and show you what it's doing. It's a bit of an awkward angle. There's a pin that goes in the back of the crayon and that's what secures it, if you're wondering how it doesn't fall out of the harness. It is easiest to do things with them while they're eating because these lads are quite big. Most of our boy Tupps weigh about 100 kilos, so it's just best if we can have them in a compliant form. And as I say, that pin will hold it in place onto this trendy harness that he's wearing. As you can see, he's been a very busy boy, and most of this has happened in the last few days, so they must have all just started cycling. So hopefully he's not got many left to cover, but if anybody who's got a yellow mark on their bottom now gets an orange mark, we know that he's covered them again. So I'm now out in the wildflowers with the boys. They've eaten a bit of it off. I've put some hay out for them, up their hard feed again. They're still not really coming on in the way that I would have hoped. I think it's probably an issue for a lot of people in this area, but that doesn't make you feel any happier about it. This is Clifford. It's a bottle-fed baby. It's very mardy. Just having a chat. I thought he was yelling to me. He's actually yelling to the cat. It's always interesting the way that the sheep interact with the house pets. He's having some hay. That's good. At least somebody's having some. I say they don't look unhappy. They're just not growing on at the rate that I would hope them to. Except for him in the pen, Cyril, the show sheep. But we've just been talking about it, he's the only one in this group that was a single. All the rest are twins, so we've got 2 sets of twin boys and then 2 that have come off twins where one was a boy and one was a girl, so that's potentially significant. And him in the pen, he's looking good. And then lastly in sheep news this week, we had to say goodbye to Shorty, our old ewe. She was 9.5. She'd had a really good life. She'd had some amazing lambs, given us some great ewe lambs to put back into the flock. But it doesn't make it any easier. She'd been deteriorating, I believe, over the last couple of weeks. Her kind of zest for life was going. She'd had terrible teeth problems and we'd been having to massively overfeed her either on hard feed, and we did that last winter. It's no problem. When one's kind of become a pet and it's a favourite, you don't mind going the extra mile, and we definitely have done that. But I was looking at her quality of life, and she was spending a lot of time lying down and looking just depressed and down. And on bank holiday Monday, I went to give her a jab of pain relief just because I felt really sorry for her, and she made very little effort to escape from me, which is completely not her style at all. She just let me do it, really, and I think that told me 1,000 truths, and I just knew that it was time. So our vet came out and put her to sleep, and she died in my arms. And if I could have picked for a way for her to go, it would be that way, because she'd given me so much, she taught me so much. She was the founding member of our flock, and I think she'd earned that right. And this is where I'm always going to sit in a bit of a funny position, because I'm not a true farmer. This is something that I've come to in adult life, that Joe and I have chosen to do alongside lots of other things that we do, and we're certainly not really making a hefty profit out of it. But all of that aside, she was a favourite, and she'd been treated as a pet, and there's probably always going to be some like that, and I make no apologies for that. So she got the ending that I think was just and was right. And although I'm very sad to see her go, I'm happy that she didn't suffer terribly, and it also feels like the appropriate end for what was the grandma of the flock. Is going to talk about chickens. So one of the elderly chickens decided to die at some point between last night and this morning. I noticed she wasn't looking very clever last night, but I didn't expect her departure to be that quick, so that's a bit sad. Yes, not ideal. We're now having a look for eggs in mysterious places. So of the younger chickens, who are still laying daily in most cases, they've started laying in ridiculous places, and they'll only do it for a few days and then they choose a new place.
Calm down and get it.
See if you can get some and some eggs. You get them gently. 3-year-olds collecting eggs can always be a bit precarious, to be prepared for some breakages. That's it. Very good.
Come back to me.
Is there just one?
Yeah.
See if there's anywhere else.
Them in the scoop. Very carefully. Good boy.
Wow, is there loads, Emmy?
Yeah.
This is Chucky the chicken. She's clearly got absolutely nothing wrong with her. Here's a selection. I think this is probably actually most of the other chickens. They've always liked camping out under this bush. We did have to cut it back because it was blocking the oil tank. So I think they're a bit down on us cutting it back. I've made some giant ruts in the soil as well. They've been digging, then to dig little holes, and then they can have a nice dust bath in them, or really a soil bath. Yeah, these ones are looking fine. Please don't misunderstand me in what I was saying about the ones that have died. I may seem nonchalant about it. I'm not. It's just that of them, 3 of them were elderly and one had got something physical wrong with her, so I'm kind of not looking for another reason, although I don't want to say that I'm not concerned at all, because if we have another pass away, particularly one of the younger birds, then it may indicate some form of disease, but none of them are symptomatic of anything. So I've not got any runny noses, any sneezing, any coughing, any puffy eyes, any mucous membrane type problems. The ones that have died have just sort of suddenly gone weak and died. So I think they are age related, and as I said the other week, some of that is our fault for how we've bred them. But yeah, we'll be keeping our eye on the situation. It's not something I'll take lightly. There are no problems in here. Everything is just fine, isn't it, Laser? Yep. Straight in, so that you can't really... Oh, that's a nice soily, snozzly nose. Alfie's a less trusting little horse. Here he comes. He's fine, really. He's gonna boss her out of the way, aren't you, lad? Yeah? These guys are thriving. They're really well, and it's nice to see. He's just shooed her out of the way. It's always interesting at this time of year because they're starting to get their winter coats. I tend to let them get nice and fluffy before I put any rugs on them so that they've got their own coat. Alfie's coat is ridiculously thick. You could lose your fingers in it already, and that will protect him from the wind and the rain unless it's extreme, and then he'll probably come in, won't you, lad? But yeah, these guys are looking good and it's nice to see. So that's our weekly roundup in brief of what's been going on here. Hope everybody is well. Hope you've enjoyed watching this. If you could like it, that would be wonderful. If you could subscribe to our channel, that would be even more wonderful. And hope to see you all very soon. Take care.